Hey out there, this is Friday, April 15th, 2016. Here in Northern California, I'm at Lake Whiskeytown Lake here. It's about 10 minutes west of Redding off Highway 299. If you take 299 about 100 miles more or so, you'll end up at the coast. But, today I wanted to talk about a few things. Of course, tax day is on everybody's mind, and, I got soaked pretty good, just like that cartoon, where either the IRS or some banker is dumping the poor guy upside down and shaking the change out of his pockets. Well, I got that treatment myself. Emptied out my account real good. And but anyhow, what I wanted to talk about today was how it's high time for everybody to come out of confusion, to come out of ignorance, indifference, complacency, Babylon, come out of Babylon, and hop off the New World Order bandwagon to death and destruction. I feel like there's so much misunderstanding about what the crux of our problems is that's why I feel so hopeless sometimes that we're never really going to fix things, that we're just going to simmer and stew in the juices of the New World Order invention, their concoction, their paradigm, their unreality. And it all has to do with economic issues. This is how we get taken. This is how they control us. And so many people, I'll leave comments often on various videos, and I hear people say, well, when they say, that the love of money is the root of all evil, this is what I'll leave in the comment. I'll point this out repeatedly because this is what Jesus talks about. And so often I get people that want to retort and they want to say, well, no, it's just how you use the money, and they want to get into some debate about it. And I say, well, you know what? With all the history humanity's had in dealing with this issue, then tell me why we have not made any progress. Rather, the opposite is true. We've made anti-progress. And the wealth disparity, the income disparity just keeps growing and growing. America is like the spearhead for the rest of the world. Just as they say, as goes California, so goes the rest of the nation. Well, that same theory holds true worldwide. So the rest of the world is looking to America to set an example that they can follow. Whether that's right or wrong, that they should look to us for this, it's true to a large extent. So as we fail, the rest of the world is failing. People become disheartened, disillusioned, hopeless. They feel like, they're starting to see the way it is, and it's traumatic. It's shocking. The way it is that the establishment doesn't want people to get ahead anymore. You could say, well, there was a time, yes, back in the day, there was a time when people could get ahead if they worked hard, and no matter what job they chose to do, they could get ahead. But it's not like that anymore. That's been taken from us. And California is really a perfect example of what I'm trying to say here. There's direct evidence that points to things I'm trying to convey to people. And that is this thing about prosperity and home ownership. Well, we've lost it, okay? We are no longer a majority homeowners here in California. We are a majority of renters going to pay in perpetuity to the landlord. And that variance, that discrepancy, that disparity is increasing as I speak. So we can say, yes, there was a point when it was absolutely 50-50, where half of the California residents were homeowners and half of the residents were renting. That was a turning point. And from there on out, now it's less than 50%. It's going to be, 48%, 45%, 40% homeowners, 35%. How low can we go toward inequality and wealth disparity and the hope being taken off the table, that you're ever going to be a homeowner, that you're ever going to be able to call yourself prosperous or successful. It's gone. And we know who took it away from us. It's the New World Order cabal and all the people, witting and unwitting, that are working for them. And what I mean by unwitting is those that just go along with the system. They go along to get along. It's working for them. It's working for a lot of people. You understand? And there's still, across the nation, there's still a critical mass of people that apparently it's working for, or at least they're still under the illusion that it's working for them. And how is it working for them? Well, everybody knows about cost of living inflation. Everybody knows now about how that's a direct correlation between cost of living inflation and the debasement of your currency. So as your cost of living increases, we're talking about basic essential human needs. As that increases, that's your cost of living inflation. We're not talking about luxury items here. We're talking about the stuff you can't get away from: food, energy, water, and housing. Particularly housing goes up, then the worth of your currency goes down. But as long as there's enough people, that critical mass, that see their numbers rising. So as the landlord sees his cost of living goes up, he says, well, yoink, I know how to solve that problem. They say minimum wage is going up. Yoink, I'll take that. And that's exactly what's happening. And then a little more for good measure, just to make sure that their tenant doesn't have any silly notions of ever escaping their grasp and getting out from under their thumb and actually becoming a homeowner themselves. So you understand the motivation for why there's a lot of people that want to keep other people poor. But as long as you've got this huge segment of people out there whose numbers are going up slightly faster than the worth of their currency is going down, then they think that's okay. As long as it's okay for them, their family, and their kids, they justify it. They rationalize and say, well, it must be okay because, hey, you know what? I'm trying to survive too, and to be comfortable and financially secure, I need X amount of income, and this is just the way it is. So I'm really sorry, but you're just not going to be able to get ahead. Okay, that's just the way it is, and that's what's coming across the country. So in order for people to prepare themselves, you've got to know what you're looking for, and that's what you're looking for. Look for your cost of living to steadily increase until the majority of Americans are no longer homeowners. Right now, it's a little bit over 60% from the last time I checked, which is probably diminished. Actually, it was 65. I say 60 because, I know it's diminished in that time. And there's a big reason for that. I mean, you take Bill Clinton and Slick Willie there and him allowing GlassSteagall Act to expire, which was a banking regulation, which was something that protected the homeowner. What it did was it dumped currency. It protected the bankers and allowed them to do things that normally they wouldn't be able to do. And what that means is that they were able to dump a bunch of money onto the housing market, and that caused a great inflation. And a lot of people saw that as a great deal because, hey, they started making profits. They saw the worth of their home go up in value, and they say, well, that's good. That's a good thing for me. They're looking through blinders and narrow sighted, small-minded. They're seeing it the way they want to see it. And as long as it was good for them, they figure it was good. But in the long run, they knew by doing this huge banking deregulation act, allowing this to come to pass, they knew the end result. They knew that there was going to be a whole lot of people that were going to feel like they needed to get on the bandwagon of home ownership. They could see the writing on the wall. So they went out there and they hastily bought homes thinking, well, worst comes to worst, and I get in a pickle and I'll have to sell the house, but it's at least gone up in worth, so I'll walk out with profit. Maybe I can move somewhere a little cheaper and be a homeowner again. But they knew when they did this, when they allowed this deregulation to take place, they knew there was going to be a huge segment of people that were going to lose their homes to foreclosure. They knew it. They knew it. They knew it. They knew it. Absolutely. And sure enough, that came to pass. So we had this thing in 2008 with the banking, what they called, innocently enough, euphemistically, a bailout. But this was essentially a banking takeover. Essentially, the politicians gave the big banks, particularly the money printing class, they gave them the power to tax. not through an actual tax as we think of as being governmentally controlled, but this was a private tax. You understand the cost of living as your cost of living goes up, that's a tax. That's your tax burden, which many people understand. The cost of living, your basic essential human needs, are a hidden tax. Well, no longer is it so hidden. These are the monsters. These are the ones out there that cause the problems for us. Okay, they know what they're doing, and they want our burden to be so great that we're permanently impoverished. That's what it's all about. They want us poor. You understand? If your taxes were only $500, April 15th, well, you say, well, that was everything I had. That was the amount I had saved to take a road trip. Well, if you took a road trip, you would burn what? Gasoline. Well, that's bad for what? The climate, they say, right? That's CO2. You understand? This is the pretext, the context that they give us to impoverish us. They hope you understand, people. And so the rich go along with this and they say, well, this is good. I've got to help. I've got to be a part of impoverishing other people. Do you see how this thing works? And it's been said that the power to tax is the power to destroy. So if that holds true, which it seems to be very true, then that means that the power to charge a cost of living. In other words, if you're one of those that controls people's cost for water, cost for food, cost for housing, cost for energy, then you have the power to destroy the people. You create so much hopelessness out there that people give up. They just wish they were dead. I see that a lot here in California. I just saw a guy down the road living in his car. I mean, it's depressing. I mean, this is what we've come to, folks, this great desperation. Remember, all the homeless people you see, wherever it is in the country, these are the weakest links in the chain. These aren't bad people. These aren't criminal people. If they were, they'd be in jail, okay? And here in California, if they were in jail, if they decided to abandon their goody two-shoes stance and just taking it like a man and just crawl into the bushes and die or go live in your car, whatever it is. But, the earth doesn't need you anymore. We don't need you. We got plenty of healthy, strong immigrants coming in every day to take your place, and they can afford the rents and they can get on Section 8. They leapfrog ahead of our own native sons and daughters, and they get on the welfare